Hello YouTube, this is the Florida Rider, heading out to the beach again for a little ride before dinner. Today is Memorial Day weekend Saturday. I have no idea what the date is, but I'm sure you can find the calendar and look it up if you're that curious. And I realized that just about, well, almost exactly 2 years ago, I pulled into my own driveway for the first time in Florida. When I moved back from Europe, I lived up north for, I don't know, a few months, until I came down to Florida to buy my house. And then I had planned on going back up north and taking 2 weeks off and making my way down to Florida, you know, vacationing, places I've never been and things like that, until I got a promotion. And then it was difficult to get extra time off. So I wasn't able to move down until Memorial Day weekend of 2012. And what a move that was. Instead of driving, 4 or 5 hours a day and stopping and seeing this and seeing that, it was just, okay, get to I-95 and aim south. You may remember that little Hyundai that I had. I vlogged from it last year when I was going Palm Beach through a rainstorm and everything. Well, I loaded up almost everything I had and brought it to Florida with me. And that little car ran like a champ. It's a 19-hour drive here from where I was living up north. And, well, it felt like it. Every single piece of it. I mean, I don't like road travel. I just really don't. Because I've done very little of it in my life. Airplanes and trains are more my style. But basically all you do is you just sit there and have the cruise control on and steer. Not very fun. I was told I would get caught in traffic in DC no matter what time of the day I went. Didn't happen. I did catch a little bit outside of DC, I believe, in and around Arlington, Virginia, but just a little bit. I remember rocketing through South Carolina like 80 to 85 miles an hour on I-95 because everyone else was, and there was nothing there. And I finally stopped for the night when I got to Georgia, and it was quite late. I couldn't understand the server at Denny's because her southern accent was incredibly thick. And I left the following day at a reasonable hour, not 5 in the morning like other people do. And I pulled into my own driveway sometime between 5 and 6 p.m. for the very first time in my own car with my own stuff. And I remember this huge smile on my face. I remember feeling that I was finally home. And I hoped that I was finally home. But having lived in many, many states in my adult life and a total of 3 countries, I said to myself, yeah, I'm ready to just find a place that I really like to call home and stay. And I did. A brief tangent. This is Memorial Day traffic on a Saturday at almost 6 o'clock heading to the beach. And it doesn't really bother me. I mean, the beach is only about a mile up there. And it doesn't bother me because of the fact that I'm on a motorcycle. I'd be impatient as heck if I was in a car right now. But being on the motorcycle, out in the fresh air, doesn't bother me at all. Anyway, like I said, I was hoping I'd finally found a place to call home. I have family that are natives to this area, and when I was younger, this is the part of Florida we would come to visit them. But I'd never really lived here before. So I guess Some people might think I was a bit crazy for buying a house before seeing if I wanted to actually live here, but when I came here looking for a house in 2012, I looked at houses in several areas, but this is the area that just felt right to me. And it is. I'm downtown in a major city. I'm close to the beach. It's an excellent place to live and play. Is it perfect? No, of course not. I'm too far from a highway, freeway, motorway, whatever you want to call it. I've got to go out by the airport, and that's a good 12 miles away. So that's sort of a pain in the butt. However, I don't really leave the area too often, so it's not too much of a problem. I mean, if I was commuting, someplace that I had to get to on the highway, freeway, motorway, whatever you want to call it, every day, then yeah, it would be a problem, but I don't. I'm actually quite glad it took me until 2012 to move down to Florida, because had I moved here, like right after high school or something like that, I wouldn't have left. My cousin tried to convince me to move down here right after high school because she knew I wanted to be someplace warm, and she's, mentioned the housing cheap down here, and it's warm, and lots of beaches and all that, and I said, well, not yet. And I went and I lived in 6 other states first, and 2 other countries, and had I moved down here and I'd been down here for 30 years, then I would have missed something. I would have missed a lot. I highly doubt if I would have been able to see as much of the world as I've seen, or live in other countries, or grown a lot. The expression live and learn exists for a reason. I've learned a little bit about myself from every place that I've lived, and all that combined is what makes me the person I am today. And I actually quite like the person I am today, so that's a good thing. Now, I'm not going to say anything negative about people who live in the same place their whole life, because I haven't done that, so I don't know what it's like. I'm just glad that when I did find this place to live, it was warm. That was my that was one of the things that I had insisted on. When I finally settled down, the place had to be warm. Let's see, what were some of the other categories? It had to be warm. There had to be a major airport there. There had to be a Major League Baseball team. Gosh, I can't remember the other criteria, but I had a whole list of it. And I got most of what I wanted too. I think my list was finally narrowed down to Phoenix, Atlanta, Miami, and Tampa. And I crossed Phoenix off the list because even though I did live there in the 90s and I had an absolutely awesome time there, my family's getting older and it's easier to get, well, here to Florida, I should say, or back to where some of them live up north too, from here. Atlanta was taken off the list because it was too cold. I found out that they have ice storms there, and of course this year they had snow there too, so no thank you. And then it was down to Miami and Tampa. And I had been to Miami before and had always said if I ever moved back to the USA, I'd live in Miami. And when I came down to Tampa in 2010, what the fuck are you doing? Sorry, what the heck are you doing? The plan was to spend like 4 days here in Tampa and then drive down to Miami for 4 days too. But when I got here, I realized I liked it so much I didn't need to go to Miami. A lot of it was for economic reasons too, because at that time, the price I wanted to pay for a house got me a lot more and in a better neighborhood here than it did in Miami. I mean, I'm a half a mile from the bay and about 2.5 miles from the beach, the main beach, and other beaches around it too. You know, try getting that in Miami. Nothing that I could afford down there. And even with the price that I paid for my house, here in Miami it'd be in a bad area. And I'm not in a bad area. I'm in an established area, a well-established area with mature trees and everything, and most of the people have been there for 20-ish years, and I quite like it. I am by no means in a rich neighborhood. I'm just in a normal working-class neighborhood. You know, in Miami I would have been well outside of the city. So yes, while Tampa is Florida's forgotten city, I love it. And this, viewers, is why we do not go to the main part of the beach on public holidays. Or even public holiday weekends. Because it's traffic, traffic, traffic. I will be going home another way. I'll be going over to the next barrier island and then down to the next bridge and back. But I've got time. Anyway, to sum it up, I can just say yes. I love Florida as much as I hoped I would, and I'm here to stay. So I guess you can say that after years of looking, I finally found my home. This is a Florida Rider signing off. Goodbye.